We're going to now connect our Python programs to the internet so that we can download data from the internet within our Python programs. To do this, we're going to use the requests module, which makes it easy to get data from the web, and I'll talk about that in another video. When we get data from the web, it needs to be in a format that's easy for our programs to read, like JSON or CSV. And to do this, we'll use web APIs, or application programming interfaces. Every API is different, so you need to look at the API documentation to learn how it works, but most APIs use the JSON format. When we browse the web, the data that we're getting from the web is actually in a format called HTML, which is harder for our programs to read and extract data from, but it's good to know what it looks like. So on the bottom here is the actual HTML, and on the top is the web page that it produces. We can see if we hover over any particular element, we can see what element it creates. Now I won't go into any detail on the HTML except to say that when we get data from the web, we don't want to get HTML pages. So if you see a bunch of less than and greater than signs, then you're getting data from the wrong source. Instead, we want to use APIs, which provide data in a format that's easier to deal with. In order to learn how to use an API, we typically need to read the API documentation for that API. So here's information about the iTunes API, for example. It gives us a URL to get data from, and it has information about how we actually get a particular piece of data from their API. Some APIs require that we also sign up before using them and get what's called an API key. So for example, the Dark Sky API requires that we sign up and enter in our email, and then it sends us a key that we need to use to access their API. In the next few videos, I'm going to go into more detail on using APIs, but on a high level. We're connecting our programs to the internet to download data from web APIs, which will typically provide data in a format that's easy to read, like JSON or CSV. Remember that every API is different, so to use a particular API, we'll need to look at the API documentation.